good stuff, Peter. So this is the second time we're having this conversation.
Definitely, yeah.
The first time I was like, Apana, this one can't end like this. I have to invite you for part 2.
Yeah.
How was your day, Lakini?
It's good. I just came back from Samburu.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Yeah, how was that?
6-hour drive.
Man, that's a long drive.
But beautiful landscape. Very
Can
beautiful
imagine.
landscape, yeah.
Yeah.
Northern Kenya.
Yeah. So you must be beat, huh?
I'm okay.
You're good.
Yeah, for the cause.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So tonight we're going to talk about the new face of conservation, why youth voices matter right now. This conversation has been rife. It's been happening for some time.
Yeah.
And back in the day, conservation in Kenya was pretty much known for, rangers, game parks, and wildlife patrols. But right now, it's evolved, right? What does it mean in this day and age, to conservation in this new age that we're living in, this very youthful Kenya?
I mean, it's trying to evolve. I think when we talk about the new face of conservation, we're talking about putting people at the center of conservation.
Yeah.
And when you talk about putting people at the center, it's because wildlife, 70% of wildlife live outside protected areas.
Right.
And hence they're living in communities. And communities, who is the number one demographic of a community?
Yeah.
Youth. Who has the time, resources in terms of energy, skills, mindset, creativity? Youth.
Yeah.
So I would say that it's been pushed, they've been forced to involve young people because it's the only sustainable thing to do. Like, how can you create a future that you won't be there, but we'll live in it without you.
Correct.
Without the vision bearers.
Yeah.
So involving young people right now is a sustainable choice, and it's the only choice that needs to be made. And because people now are being put at the center of conservation, women and youth are now playing a critical role when it comes to safeguarding the future of our heritage and our natural resources.
That's right. And then it's going to lead me to the movement that you created. Very, very powerful. Stand up, shout out.
Yeah.
You're very youthful. And this one, obviously, this movement is associated with youth. You're working with youth, basically.
Yeah.
So what inspired you to start it?
I was uncomfortable. I mean, when I started, I was studying university in 2013. And I was like, this can't be it. The opportunities, the platforms, the lack of platforms, how people were spending their time, their money, their skills. I called it the lost generation. And I feel like there was more to it.
Yeah.
And when there's more to something, you either get uncomfortable and hide or get uncomfortable and change. And so I was lucky God allowed me to change and create this platform that gave me the opportunity to do more and be more.
Yeah.
So it was really just an urge and a need and such an uncomfortable spirit of, no, this can't be it. This isn't it. This isn't life. There's more to life.
Yeah. You often mention this new wave of youth, of conservation. Yeah. So what do you see in youth? Yeah. What's this thing that really inspires you to work with your peers, right?
Yeah.
That I guess the older generation never had.
I mean, I think the one thing the older generation don't like is the difficulty of my generation. Young people can be difficult. We can be stubborn. And that takes a lot of time and energy that older people don't have that patience. But for me, what drives me to work with my peers, young and older, is a very simple fact.
Right.
We have dreams, Kev. Dreams need tomorrow. Tomorrow needs a stable climate, food security, clean air, clean water. And only my generation can understand the desperate need to secure such a future because we have dreams.
Right.
And because they can understand that, the vigor and the passion when you awaken a young person's mind to be like, okay, you know what, I may be an engineer, a doctor, a scientist, whatever I am, but I have dreams like this guy.
Right.
And hence I want to help him, help me secure tomorrow so we have time to live those dreams.
Yeah.
So what am I going to do? I'm going to conserve. So that vigor and passion of understanding, the mentality of a young person to understand, oh my, I have to do something. I must be part of the solution. I must do more. I must jituma. I must jiamini. I must go above and beyond for my future. Is something only young people have.
Yeah.
It's something, the urgency and that passion is what comes from a young person understanding that I need to secure time to achieve my dreams.
Yeah.
So working with young people is a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer. I like that. Good word. And I like how you put it, man. Most young folks, they just have a sense of urgency. You know, the energy is different. You know what I mean? They're very passionate about, the environment, what's around them. And so what's associated with young people is obviously culture, the arts. I saw you also into poetry.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. Social media, storytelling. So do you think what this does, this whole culture, the way we go about conversations, especially amongst youth, do you think it makes the, conservation more accessible, more understandable amongst younger people, or it's performative? It's almost like, it's a gig.
I think it's a tricky question, because for me, I think when it comes to conserving the environment, the wildlife, marine life, etc., like I said, it's about connectivity to the future. So young people are starting to understand preserving natural habitat, natural resource preserves my future. You understand? So for me, it's more of an understanding that we are young. We need time to live.
Yeah.
The older generation, you have lived your life. We need time to live. So I think the connectivity to conservation is really a connectivity to their dreams, their aspirations, and the time that they need. But the creativity around it and the storytelling is something that is just burst, because young people, how they tell stories, how they use their phones, how they use social media is a low-hanging fruit when it comes to the conservation narrative. And it's something that can be really tapped into for young people to help explore, amplify the conservation work that is happening, and the needs and the gaps and the flaws and the issues, and to rally people around. I think the one thing I missed to say is that why I like working with young people is because we want to belong. As much as social media has really brought us closer but also far apart, young people want to belong to a community of vibrant young people. They want to be around like-minded, creative, energetic. They want to feel part of something. And social media has disconnected us, but made us more hungry to have a community of something that is bigger than us. And this is something that we can tap into for conservation.
Brilliant. So when you're talking about the new wave of conservation and social media and this whole evolution, so what describes that is this evolution process is the social media aspect of it. You know what I mean? The art, that's what amplifies this conversation, isn't it?
Yes.
Hence the evolution word.
Yeah, and I think what it does is it makes it relatable.
Okay.
I think that's the one thing that has been missing. Many people think conservation is for wazungus or foreigners. Many people think conservation is just planting trees. Many people don't understand. But the storytelling and how young people who get to be involved capture that story, amplify it, is making other young people feel like I can relate, I can be part. And I think that's breaking down the walls of isolation and separation of this isn't for me, and bringing people closer to the story, which allows them to feel part and person of it.
It's so true, man. I was actually that was going to lead me to the next question, which is some of the misconceptions about conservation work. So it's like, this is just for the wazungus, the elites in Kenya. And what's another crazy misconception you've come across that you'd like to, just
I think the craziest misconception is that conservation is something that you have to be an expert in.
Wow.
Right?
Okay.
And what we are trying to demyth is that you should have expert advice, you should have technical support, but you don't have to be an expert. Everyone, if you ask Jane Goodall, all these legends, how did they start? They knew nothing. But they were given an opportunity to learn and to grow. And so young people need to start realizing you don't have to know everything. You don't have to be ready. Just show up. Show up and be in a space that is willing to nurture you and teach you and give you that opportunity to learn. Because everyone thinks they need to be ready. Everyone thinks they need to have a PhD or a master's. No, you just have to be open to the experience. And I think more conservation organizations and more entities need to open their doors to more young people to allow them to experience what Jane Goodall experienced when she was 20 whatever, and she was given a job with chimpanzees that no one would have given it to a young woman in that time.
I agree.
But because she got that opportunity, she became one of the most remarkable conservationists of our time. So why are we closing the door to saying you have to be an expert to do XYZ? No. Yes, you need to do it right. Yes, you need advice, technical support, but more young people need to be given an opportunity to learn, to grow. And I think this comes to a huge conversation about succession, about institutional memory, and about the older generation making space for the newer generation. I mean, we're seeing it with ODM.
I don't know about ODM, but I mean, eventually they're going to have to give in. So speaking of which now, you're part of the KWS Board of Trustees, right? First of all, you've been running a very successful organization, or should I say movement. So you being in that Board of Trustees, what does it mean for the youth that you represent?
Now, it's being part of that board for 2 years was a good experience. But I think, youth representation is not what it is, okay? I wasn't put on the board to represent youth.
Oh, interesting.
You understand? I was just a youth leader, advocate for young people. We need proper youth representation. Proper youth representation means that this person was selected from a caucus, put in a position to advocate for youth specifically.
Right.
Because most young people who sit on boards are sitting there as young professionals, not youth advocates. So as much as I did advocate for youth and push for platforms such as Mabingwa, Adopt a Park, etc., more opportunities for young people, Ranger recruitment, etc., I wasn't there as a youth representative. But if I was there as a youth representative, it would make it much more easier because all my agendas would make sense to the older generation. Whereas now I was just a young professional yapping about youth. But if my position was fully a youth representative who I was representing a caucus, then it would be much more easier. So we get it wrong in Kenya when it comes to youth representation. We're choosing brilliant young people to sit on boards and places, but they're not representing youth.
That's interesting.
They're just youth. So youth representation needs to be worked on from the National Youth Council to every youth position in Kenya. They need to represent a caucus. They need to be held accountable. Even that caucus needs to be writing memorandums, writing speeches that they go and represent. You understand? If an idea is created by the caucus, they're sitting at the table representing that idea. That is real youth representation.
Right. Wow. I like how you clarify that. Because many times, usually, we get it twisted. It's almost as if they just put youth over there.
And you think this is a youth rep. No, but it's not. And that's how they get it twisted, and that's how they confuse the masses to think, you're engaging young people. Yes, you're including young people, but you're not having representation. Because that person is sitting there talking as a young person, but they're not saying the youth of the country need. They're not saying this demographic of 10,000 young people in conservation need. No, they're just sitting there as a technocrat or a professional, as a young person, speaking as a young person, saying, I think water should be conserved like this. They're not saying, I think 10,000 youth should be involved in water conservation.
Wow, brilliant, Peter. Peter, you need to get into politics as well. ODM need this energy. Hi, so, you know what? Let's just take a short break and then we continue with this conversation. Guys, Peter Moll, the brilliant Peter Moll is here with me, and we're talking the new face of conservation, why youth voices matter now. We're coming